you and your clinic are on the cusp of like a new wave of medicine, in my opinion.
Yeah. So yeah, and that's one of the things that drew me into this, is trying to be on the leading edge of that, and try, and so it's not just your typical med spa. We do want to go look to the future and try to help people look, perform, and feel amazing. And it's not just about extending your life, it's about extending your life well. And so I'm not the trust me, I don't want to live a long time and live in a bed and be a vegetable. I want to live as well as I can, as long as I can. And my wife hates it when I say this, but I want to die fast. And so I want to go, and then be done. And, if that means living to, 100, that's awesome. 120, awesome. But, whatever that is, that's what I want. That's what I see. I want it for myself, and I want it for myself. I want it for other people. And so we need to be able to offer that to, the masses and get that out there. And it's just getting information out there and, letting people dive in and, figure out for themselves what they want.
I guess in kind of a metaphor and analogy type scenario, if you had a car, this is how I view Western medicine, the approach. If you had a car and you never tuned it up, never changed the oil, and then when it starts acting up, then you go to the mechanic. I think we treat our cars better than we treat ourselves.
Yeah.
And I also, one of the things, I was talking to a group of people, and they asked about, well, how are you 61 years old and you look the way you do? And I started talking about all the things I do and the science behind it. And they said, well, God, that's so much money to be spending on this, and that's so much time. And the response to this, so much money, I looked at this group of people. I said, how much money do you invest in yourself? All of these friends of mine are affluent people, okay? And I asked them, like, how much money do you invest in yourself? And everybody put up zero.
Yeah.
A couple people go to the gym, right? So they can look good, and, because they're in the dating pool in the late 50s or, mid 50s or what have you, or late 40s. But again, back to the car. Why would you not change the oil in your car or tune your car up and wait for it to start misfiring or it to seize up? You would take care of it so you don't have to go to the mechanic, because going to the mechanic is expensive, and who wants to have a breakdown? So really, what the approach that you're taking is getting people in tune with their bodies, in tune with their health, and giving them the knowledge to kind of and the tools to do preventative medicine on themselves in a professional manner. One of the things I was impressed about when I first came to the clinic was the machine that you stand on, and then it does the reading. Can you talk a little bit about the machine? Because it was like, literally for me, and it's going to sound corny, it was like I was standing on something from the 24th century.
No, the scanner is awesome. And so that is one of the things that hooked me into actually starting this specific business. And I'm going to go back a little bit towards what you're saying. People aren't, necessarily investing in themselves. The average American is spending $12,900 on healthcare per person. That's just the way it is. That's just the number that Americans are spending on average. Looking at their insurance premiums, looking at all of that, $12,900. But it's all like you were saying with the car, after the car's acting up and everything, it's why can't we figure out how to spend that money to prevent the car from having issues, to prevent our bodies from having those issues? There's so much money being spent. We're spending $4.3 trillion a year annually, in America on healthcare, and we're sitting 30th in the world in infant mortality rates. It's a joke. So there's something wrong with the system. And so, and again, I believe more and more people are catching on to that. But so what I like about that scan is that scan gives a really, really good picture of where you're at wellness-wise. It's not we have had people sign a waiver, this is not a medical diagnostic machine. but it does give really good information on where you're at wellness wise. It goes in and you stand on it, has this big screen. You connect it to a pulse ox. We take your blood pressure, and you stand on these different plates. It sends different electrodes and frequencies throughout your body, and it spits out this 15-20 page report, and it gives you an overall wellness score. It gives you very good detail on where you're at with your body composition. And so if you're coming in to lose weight, we can actually help you focus in on losing the right kind of weight. And so one of the biggest side effects to Ozempic, Wegovy, those sort of drugs is, people lose muscle as well as fat. And so we can actually help you track that, so people can catch that early. We do the scan once a month, and we talk to them, hey, you're losing, you're doing good on your muscle growth, you're losing this much fat, because trying to lose, hit a number is what a lot of people do with their weight. But I would gain and lose over 100 pounds in a year at the firehouse. It was, the whole yo-yo diet thing. I would go, I'd hit a number, I'd feel good, and I'd start eating, and I'd put on the pounds until, I couldn't, I had to sit down to put my socks and shoes on. Nope, that's my cutoff. I'd start starving myself, start working out again, and I just go back and forth and back and forth. And now, it's I can actually track and be okay, I've lost 27 pounds of actual body fat. I'm up 10 pounds of muscle. And I can actually, lose the right kind of weight, so I can actually keep it off. I can build muscle, so as you have more muscle, your body's burning more calories at rest. And it's, you can track that progress, and you're not having to guess. And that's the cool thing about that machine. And another cool thing about it, let me grab some water real quick, is, so we had, again, this is not a diagnostic machine, but we had a gal came in and she had a severe decrease in circulation on one side of her body. And it's hey, that's not diagnostic, but for me, I had a separated shoulder in the military, a separated shoulder when I was wrestling in high school before going into the military. And I have a little bit decreased circulation there. And it's just yep, there's a little bit less blood flow on my left side. And so she did not like that answer. And so she went and started doing some tests. She found out she had cancer. So we couldn't continue with some of the treatments and things that we were doing, because when somebody has cancer, they gotta really focus on that. And but she was able to use that information to find out something that she didn't even know she had. We had another gal who the scanner, it gives you an internal cardiac age. And so it'll actually measure the elasticity of your arteries. It'll measure how much blood is being pumped out of your heart with every beat. And this gal, she was in her 60s, and her internal cardiac age was in her 80s. And she did not like that. She was not happy. And so she went to her cardiologist and showed him this. And was look at this. And he's what is this? What are you shoving in my face? I don't care what this is. And she just kept pressuring him. He's fine, I'll run some tests. She had a genetic, she was predisposed to having a widowmaker. And it was something that genetically ran within her entire family. And her entire family now is being tested for this. And so she called our clinic in tears, saying that, hey, you literally not only saved my life, you did all this. And it's oh, okay, we just did a scan, we're taking care of you. You took the information, you did what you needed to do with it. And you found out that, she had that, genetic trait that ran through her family. And so she was able to, figure that out. So it's just the biggest thing that we're trying to do is inform and educate people. And then people make the decisions on what they want to do and how they want to move forward.